Welcome everybody. How's it going? Glad to be out on a weird sidewalk in the middle of the West Loop. I'm Rashawn. I'm one of the coaches here at Live Grit. You've probably seen me before as I break things. Welcome to the transition clinic. Can everybody hear me okay? Yeah? Cool. If you missed something, just raise your hand. This is pretty informal. We're going to try and cover a lot of stuff. But if you have questions, go ahead and put your hand up. I'll call on you. You'll tell me your name, and then we'll go from there. Okay? So, we're going to talk everything transitions today. So, we're going to go through first what it looks like, how you set up, what stuff you need for it, how you actually set it up in the transition area, and then what you're going to physically do going from sport to sport. Okay? So, whether you're doing a sprint, whether you're doing the Olympic, or you're going crazy and going bigger, transitions ultimately are the same thing. We often talk about transitions as the fourth sport in triathlons because a lot of triathletes ignore it. A lot of athletes just think that they don't have to worry about it, that they can get through triathlon without really thinking about it. Having a plan is the best piece of advice I could give you. So the fact that you're all here, you're all gonna do great. So, in terms of the race day, what to expect. Transition will usually open, I believe it's 5 or 5:30. It's way early in the morning. Sun's not up yet. So you'll get down to transition area, which is going to be just south of Randolph Street along the Lakeshore Path. If you've ever run on the Lakeshore Path, right by there, it's going to be south of Chicago Yacht Club as you take the turn up to Monroe, which is conveniently the street that we're on. It'll all be grass area. That's where transition area is. It opens early in the morning. It will close an hour or half hour before the first wave starts, meaning you need to get there early. You need to leave yourself at least half an hour of time in transition. You may not need that time, but there will be a lot of other people, there will be a lot of things happening. You want to make sure that you have both the space and the time in transition area. Okay? When they say transition closes at 6:30, they mean it. So if you don't have your bike there by then, you don't get to race that day. Okay, so make sure you set a couple alarms. I had to have a friend call me once because I wasn't there. So make sure you get to transition early. When you set up transition, we'll talk about the stuff and talk about the things, but each rack looks very similar to this. Chicago triathlons are a little lower. They're a different color metal, and that's about it. They're a lot longer. They'll go for long stretches, and there'll be rows and rows of them. Each rack will have a set of numbers. All of us in the First Timers program today? Cool. All of you are going to be on the same exact rack.
Oh.
So you're going to be all on the same First Timers rack. There will be a sign saying First Timers Wave, and it'll have your bib numbers. So whether you go by your bib number or you go just to find the First Timers Wave rack, it'll be there. There's technically going to be a few of them, so you will have to pay attention to whether you're doing sprint or Olympic. All right? So you're going to get there early. You're going to go and you're going to find a spot. You will not have a designated spot on the rack. You will have a designated rack, not a designated spot. That's why going early helps. You can get an end spot or somewhere that's a little clear, somewhere you can find right by a tree that's easy to find. That will be wonderful. So you'll come to transition early, you'll set up your spot, you'll find where you need to be, and you're gonna rack your bike. When we say rack your bike, it means hang it off of the saddle. If you have a particularly small bike, your front wheel may not touch the ground. Probably will, but just recognize that that's how you rack it, okay? You'll notice that Gillian's bike next to my bike, we're facing opposite directions. All the bikes will rack in that way, those opposite directions, so that my transition area is on this side, Gillian would set up her transition on that side, the next bike would set up on this side, and vice versa all the way down. That leaves you with enough room so that you can set up your space without getting in the way of other people or having other people get in your way. Now, another thing you'll notice is that I have, if you can see, I want all of you to come by this later, but my transition stuff is all set up right next to my front wheel, okay? It is not going past my front wheel. There's two reasons for that. One, you want to keep yourself kind of self-contained, and if you have a lot more than this, I'm going to have some questions about what you're planning on doing in the triathlon. But the second part is, the triathlon is going to be a busy day. There's going to be a lot of people racing. So people are going to go back and forth. So if you have your stuff sitting out in the aisle, someone is going to end up running over it, whether on their feet or with their bike. Okay, so you need to set up your transition area next to your front wheel without going past that front wheel. Make sense? Any questions so far?
Does it make a difference whether it's on the left or right side?
It doesn't really make a difference which side you're on, but if you sit up on the left side and you're the first one there, everybody else is going to start setting up on the left side to create a little bit more room. So really just be aware of your surroundings. If everybody else is on the left side, don't go right and create more chaos. So that doesn't matter as much which side you set up on. You'll notice that you don't have any swim stuff in your transition. I just have my wetsuit out here. Well, for the transition, you're going to set up your bike gear, your run gear, and that's it. If you have stuff that you need for before the race, after the race, or for swim, that goes with you out of transition. Okay? You can leave a transition bag in transition area. What I suggest is you put it back directly underneath the rack or behind or below your back wheel. You want that out of the way. Okay? So the reason you take your swim stuff, your before the race stuff, your after the race stuff, there is a gear check. If you have friends and family coming to watch, which I suggest is awesome, because they will yell at you the whole time, give your extra stuff to them. There is going to be a good portion of time before you most likely go off, because if most of you are in the first timers wave, you're not going to be the first ones going. So there's going to be a portion of time, maybe an hour or two, after you set up transition, before you start race. So plan your breakfast, plan your bathroom breaks. That is an easy way to make or break your day if you have that planned or don't have that planned. So have that idea. You should be knowing now when you work out, what works for you, when you need to eat breakfast, when you go to the bathroom. So know that before come race day. Your swim stuff that you are going to be taking with you out of transition. If you are wearing a wetsuit is number 1. Goggles, number 2. And swim cap that they will give you at the packet pickup. Those are the 3 major things that you need for your swim. Obviously something to wear, but I hope you came there in the morning in your clothes. Most people will wear a triathlon kit. Some people will wear swim stuff. Whatever you feel comfortable in, that's fine, but as long as it's not cotton. But have that ready. Be changed already. You will not be putting on your wetsuit till about half hour, 45 minutes before you go off. You don't want to spend all that time just hanging out in the sun in a giant rubber suit. Not as fun as you think it is. So when you get closer to the race, or the race start, you're going to put on your wetsuit up to your waist, and usually you'll roll up that suit, get the arms and shoulders in near race start. You will notice everybody helping everybody, zipping up, making sure everyone's comfortable. So don't be afraid to find a buddy and ask them for help. We'll also all be there, so we'll be walking you in to transition, or into the start. Any questions so far? Cool. That's the swim. We'll talk later a little bit more about the logistics of how the race will actually go. But in terms of stuff for the bike, you need a bike. 2 wheels, 2 brakes, and I always recommend gears, but that's the rules about the bike. On that bike, please ideally have a water bottle cage and put your water bottle already in that cage. don't necessarily, you want to minimize the amount of stuff that you have to do in transition area. So if you can't really see as well, but I've got my bike here. I've got my helmet. My sunglasses are in my helmet. I've got my bike shoes with my socks already unrolled in the shoe, and the shoes are open. Those are going to be the first things. Anything else that you need for transition or for the bike, this you're going to keep right there. It can be any number of things, but if it's nutrition, water bottle stuff, that stuff can be all on the bike. Again, you want to minimize the amount of stuff that you have to do in transition area. Okay? For the run, think about what you need. You'll need run shoes, socks if you wear them. I always wear a cap, and then a race belt. Does everybody know what a race belt is? Okay. When you do the triathlon, there's going to be a lot of ways that they're going to be able to tell who you are and when did you start. So first off, in the swim, your cap will be color-coded to the wave you're in. So you're all in the first timers wave, you will all be wearing the same color cap. You will also have numbers on your arm, both arms, and they will put your age on your cap. Okay? You'll also have stickers for your bike, your helmet, and you'll have a tag for your transition bag. They will check those as you go in and out of transition. So you don't have to worry about your bike being stolen. You don't have to worry about locking it up or anything. No one is allowed in transition except for athletes during that time. Okay? So a race belt, the last part that they track you, or the way they're able to track you for the run, is they give you a traditional running race bib. Okay? If you've ever done a run race, you get the little square piece of paper, that's what it is. A race belt allows you to attach that bib to this belt and quickly and easily snap it to yourself so that you can go run. The reason this is a really wonderful thing to have, it's like 12 bucks, but you have to wear that bib. So your alternatives, if you don't do this, is either pin it on in transition when you're hot, probably a little sweaty, probably in tight clothing, probably not in the mood to jab yourself with a pin, or you wear it the whole time, which is going to cause an awful lot of chafing. You're going to have to wear it underneath a wetsuit. It's going to flap around on you on the bike. You're only required to wear it on the run, so only wear it on the run. Use a race belt. Highly recommended. It's a little piece of equipment that you will, once you get, you will use for every race. When I say every race, I mean you do a triathlon, you will use it. You do a run, you will use it. You do a bike that requires you to wear something, there you go. Maybe ask why they're making you wear a bib on a bike race though. So that's a race belt. Anything you need specifically for transition is going to be in that little area. Okay? Ideally make it, so any questions on stuff before we move on? Yes, what's your name?
I'm Dana.
Dana, how are you?
I'm great. We'll be wearing a timing chip.
Great. So the question was, will we be wearing a timing chip? The answer is yes. Thank you, Dana, for reminding me. You will be wearing a timing chip the whole time. It goes around your ankle. They will give it to you. It comes with a nice little neoprene strap. The one thing that I will warn you about is keep in mind that does make taking off the wetsuit on that side a little bit more difficult. So I usually say don't take it off because you don't want to forget it, but you'll wear that the whole time.
On your ankle.
On your ankle, yep. Yes?
Al.
Al, nice.
All right, so the numbers that you have for swimming,
Yep.
you write it on yourself, they write it on for you to give you a pen? How does that work?
Totally up to you. I don't remember this year if they're doing the tattoos again, but they'll have body marking in transition and at the expo the day before, Friday and Saturday. So if you got great penmanship or you really want to wear your kids writing the numbers on you, go for it. But when you come to race day, if you're walking in transition, they'll write it on for you if you don't have it. To that point, while they will mark your arms and your calf, you need to have your stickers already on your stuff. So the stickers go on your bike, on your helmet, and then there'll be a tag for your bag. That needs to be done before you get to transition. They won't let you in otherwise. Any other questions on stuff? Yes.
So you have to wear the cap that you're given.
You will absolutely have to wear the cap that you are given. There is no getting away with that. So if you're not used to wearing a cap, start getting used to wearing a cap. Great. What was your name? Michelle, that was a great question. You're both transition 1, which is when you switch from the swim to the bike, and transition 2, when you switch from the bike to the run, are in the exact same spot. This is my spot for my triathlon today. So all my stuff will go here. There are very few triathlons that don't do it in that way. Usually you will always come back to the exact same spot. No. What was your name? So Kirsty asked if they're renting wetsuits the morning of. You need to have your wetsuit well before that day. We open up our rental wetsuits on August 1st for the weekend of Chicago Triathlon. It's $50 for the week, but they will sell out by August 2nd.
Wow.
So get your suit early. If you know that you're planning on renting a suit, make sure you figure out what size you need beforehand, come in, we do fittings, and then make sure that on August 1st, you call in when we open at 11. Hi.
I'm Heidi, yeah. I was just wondering, do you have any suggestions? Like, I heard it's hard to find your transition, like, for your bike. Do you have any ideas?
Yes, we'll get into that. So the question was, what are tips to finding your transition? We'll go over that a little bit later, but the one thing to that point is, you can see I've got a bright pink bike, an orange helmet, and a green towel. You may not have a pink bike, but you probably have some sort of brightly colored towel or something that you can put down that will give you a visual cue, okay? You cannot you'll often hear people talk about tying balloons or stuff like that. You cannot do that. They will cut it off and take it away, and then you will absolutely lose where you put your stuff. We'll talk about how you find your stuff when we go through the process of what you're actually doing. Yeah. Sorry.
Do they still?
Name first, sorry.
Oh, Courtney.
Courtney.
The day before,
Yeah.
like after the expo thing or whatever, can you still bring it? You can bring your bike down.
Yep, we'll talk about that. Yeah. India.
India. So after you swim, you have this big wetsuit and your other stuff. Like how?
Where does it go?
Yeah. Like.
Great question, and actually we'll use that to segue into how you go through each transition area, or each transition, because that'll answer a couple of the questions that we just had. So we talked about how you're gonna already have your swim stuff, you're gonna have your bike gear, or your breakfast already. So first off, when you start the triathlon, because you're all first timers, we are gonna walk you into the waves. We have a designated spot. You don't have to meet us there, but we have a meeting spot in the morning of. We'll have some water, we'll have some bananas, we'll have a bunch of us helping out, put you in wetsuits, calm your fears, give you any last minute tips. But when you get into your wetsuit, we are gonna literally walk you in. There is a big chute. Everyone's got big signs designating that which wave is going off next, and they will have 4 waves lined up. So when your wave comes up, we're gonna walk you in, and you're gonna walk down that chute, okay? So you're gonna finally zip up, get ready, get really excited. You'll hear Dave Kappas, the best announcer for races, talk to you, maybe call you by name if you've got a cool sign, and then you'll get in the water and start. After the swim you're gonna exit on the north, yep, I know my directions, north part of Monroe Harbor, and you're gonna get out. There are stairs out of the swim. There will be people helping pull you out of the water, and depending on how many people are there, they'll also help unzip you.
Oh, nice.
From there, you have almost a quarter-mile run/walk on red carpet into transition. So you're just gonna follow the harbor wall along. It'll be very, very hard to get lost. You're gonna have to jump over a fence or cones to get lost. So you're gonna run into transition. Your swim time includes that little run. Okay, so transition, you will have 5 times, or 6 times, excuse me, when you finish the race. You will have a swim split. You will have a T1 split. You will have a bike split, a T2 split, and then a run split with a final overall time. Okay, so if you are really trying to chase that time, recognize that the fourth sport transitions is going to be part of it. Okay, so you will run into transition from the red carpet. At that point, you're going to find your spot. Now, part of the reason I tell people to get there early on race day morning is because you should walk transition. You're going to get there in the morning, it's going to be really dark, so either pull out your cell phone flashlight, or if you have a headlamp, those are really nice to see what you're doing. But you are going to walk transition. You are going to walk from what's called swim in, where you run in from the swim, to where you set up your bikes. Count how many racks you're going along. That's the easiest way to figure out where you have set up. So I know, okay, I'm 3 racks this way and I run 2 racks down. Okay, then I know I'm on the right rack. Where am I on that rack? I'm about halfway down that rack, just beyond the tree. So that's how you're gonna know where your transition is. From there, you're gonna walk from, your transition area to bike out, okay? And then when you're actually doing it in the morning, walk from bike in to transition and then back to run out, okay? Your swim in and run out are gonna be the exact same spot, and your bike in and your bike out are in the exact same spot. Bike out and in is gonna be on the north side of transition. Swim in and out, or swim in and run out is going to be in the south side of transition. Does everyone understand what I'm talking about when I say bike in, bike out? Cool. So you'll walk it so you know where your transition area is. So we've come in off of the swim, we've run into transition, we found where we have set up. From there, I'm gonna take my stuff when I get out of the water, someone will unzip you, peel that wetsuit down to your waist. That's gonna make you feel a lot more open, you'll be able to breathe, you're gonna feel the breeze coming on the skin, it'll be wonderful. So you'll run into transition, and then when you get to your spot, that's when you're gonna take off the rest of your wetsuit, when you're gonna start transitioning into your bike stuff, okay? What I usually recommend when you're doing it, try and take off your wetsuit in one big motion, as big as possible, to avoid bunching. I'm notorious for falling over, terrible balance, so if you let that wetsuit bunch, it's gonna get caught, and when you're trying to take it off your ankles, it's gonna be hard and you possibly fall over. So my 2 tips for that. 1, either sit down. Nothing wrong with sitting down, you just swam a bunch. Or 2, when you get that suit all the way down to your ankles, pull one foot up, try to pull it out, and take the other foot and step right on the wetsuit next to your foot, and keep walking till that one foot is out, and then reverse the direction. Step on the wetsuit, pull that foot up until that wetsuit comes all the way off. Your cap and goggles also come off, and what I traditionally tell people to do is throw it under your bike, because you don't need it anymore, right? You're done with it for the race, so just make sure it's in your area, but you don't want it on top of your stuff or in front of the things that you're gonna use next. So we just got out of the swim, we're gonna get into the bike. I know you all can't see it right now, but come look at this later. You'll notice that I have everything open so that it's very easy for me to do. So literally, I wear glasses, as you can see, so I would have these in my bike helmet, and then my bike helmet straps open, and then socks unfurled with the shoes open on the bottom. So I literally will go, put on my glasses, put on my helmet, step into my socks and shoes, and then I can grab my bike and go. So that is how you grab your bike as well. You just drop it off the rack, the saddle, and pull it through. For taller gentlemen, your bike when you drop it, may still hit that transition rack. All you gotta do is tilt it a little bit. Tilt it one way or the other. When you grab your bike, helmet needs to be clipped. So you may notice I grabbed my bike before I clipped it. Shame on me. They are very firm about that. If you are touching your bike, have your helmet on and clipped. You will be DQ'd otherwise. Joe, how are you?
Are you wearing your bike shorts underneath your wetsuit and then running in your bike shorts as well?
I am not wearing bike shorts because that will feel like a wet diaper.
Right.
So what we generally wear, you grab a tri kit, is a triathlon kit. It's very similar to cycling gear. It's going to be spandex. The top will fit, or both are going to fit tight, skin tight, not compressive. And the reason for that is it doesn't ride, right? Any movement of that outfit is going to cause chafing, especially since you first get wet, and then you're going to just start sweating in it a whole bunch, right? So we don't want any sort of movement. A triathlon kit is going to look just like this. You're going to usually have a sleeveless top that allows you to be able to move with your arms a little better. It's going to have tiny little pockets on the back that are going to hug your back so that if you throw stuff in there, it's not going to bounce around on you on the run. It's not going to fall out. Male and female. The shorts are going to be similar to cycling shorts, but the pad is a lot smaller. It's designed differently so that it gets out of your way, doesn't feel like it's you're wearing a diaper, and also it's not going to hold water. So both of these tops and bottoms are really designed to throw water off of you as quickly as possible. The other thing to that point is when you are wearing a triathlon kit, you're not wearing underwear. For the same reason we don't, if you have an extra layer of fabric, that's gonna move. Any movement of that is not fun. For women, or some men, you are gonna wear a sports bra though. Whatever sports bra you have that is not cotton, that you like, is wonderful. There are a lot of companies will make tri-specific sports bras. Some tops will have, a bralette or something in it, and they're pretty much all terrible. So if you have one that you like, stick to it. Okay? Yes, Julie.
Does anyone, this might be a silly question, does anyone bring towels or is that pointless?
We'll actually get to that.
Okay.
So Julie asked, does anyone bring towels? Yes, I wouldn't recommend it. And we'll get to that in just a second. But when you'll notice that I've got a towel down, right? There's a little portion of the towel that was exposed in front of my bike stuff. That's what I'm gonna use to kind of wipe off my feet a little bit. You'll also notice that I knocked over an extra water bottle. I always keep an extra water bottle in transition for two reasons. First reason is I get thirsty, I sweat a lot. So you can take a quick sip and you take your time in transition. The second reason is you may pick up some grit, you may pick up some sand as you're running to transition. It's really easy to take that water bottle, spray your foot down, and now it's cleared off, and I can put on my sock or I can wipe them off however you want. Now, keep in mind, you're gonna be wet. You're gonna be wet on coming off the swim. You're gonna dry off super quick on the bike. There's gonna be a lot of wind coming at you when you're blazing through, so that wind will dry you off quite quickly.
So this fit thing that you're talking about, you wear that under your wetsuit?
You would wear this under your wetsuit, and you would wear it the whole time. You'd wear it for the swim, the bike, the run. Now, you can do other clothing options. This really just is designed to make it as easy as possible so you don't have outfit changes. The thing I always tell people, like, if you want to do outfit changes or you have certain things that you like to run in or bike in, that's fine, but there's two things I caution you. One, don't get naked in transition. That's a strong no-no. And two, you are gonna be hot, you're gonna be sweaty. If you're wearing tight clothing, that's also a thing. Trying to put on clothes, and they are timing you, right? So spending time doing a whole lot of extra stuff, making sandwiches, toweling off, you can do it, and if that's how you race, great, but they are timing you.
Can you swim in there?
Yes, it is specifically designed to swim in.
So you could literally swim in there without a wetsuit.
Bingo. I did it last night.
Oh, okay.
Yes.
So I've seen like one piece.
Yeah.
Suits. Would
What's
you
the difference?
recommend- Yeah, or like.
So they come in pieces or 2 pieces. There's pros and cons. I'm a big fan of 2 pieces. They're a little bit more popular for a couple reasons. One, it's more versatile. If when you're training, I can just wear the top, I can just wear the bottom, I can mix and match as I want, and you know I can wear just a regular. If I'm riding inside, I can just wear a regular T-shirt and wear the shorts. The other reason it's a little bit more versatile is it makes going to the bathroom so much easier. A one piece, you're pretty much going to have to take off, get naked to go to the bathroom. So that is the disadvantage of a one piece. The pro is that there's no waistband. It's super comfy if it fits. The other thing that I struggle with is that I'm a much different size on top than I am on bottom, so one pieces don't fit me. But again, the pro of a one piece is that if it fits you, it is much more comfortable. It's just also not as versatile. So whatever works for you is great. Yeah, Janine.
Yeah, sorry. I have another question and I'm proud of it. What if you don't wear a wetsuit?
It's fine.
So what, I mean, then like what would you recommend?
So I would still recommend a tri-suit,
Okay.
right? So if you're not wearing a wetsuit, a tri-suit just, again, makes things easier, right? You don't have to change, you don't have to worry about it, you just wear it the whole time. And you don't have to wear a wetsuit at all. It's not mandatory by any means. It does 3 things for you. It makes you warmer. Lake never gets that warm. The lake is actually, if you got in, anyone get in last night for the Tuesday night swim, that is probably the warmest the lake will be this summer.
Oh wow.
Just that's where we're at in Lake Michigan. It doesn't really stay warm that long.
That's the opposite of what they told me last night. They said it would get at least 10 degrees warmer.
Nope. Way off. So the lake temperature right now is about
yeah.
68
Oh, yeah.
degrees.
That's cold.
Yeah, the warmest I've ever seen it is just over 70. It will absolutely not be that for race day. Al,
What % wear a wetsuit, what % don't?
about 95% of people wear a wetsuit, if not more. You'll have, now, that being said, there are a lot of different types of wetsuits. There's a surfing suit, there's a scuba suit, there's dry suits, and then there's swimming wetsuits. Now, I only recommend swimming wetsuits. Scuba suits are designed to sink. A surfing suit will actually be very loose fitting and be a little coarser, so it'll actually slow you down. It will add a little bit of warmth, but it will slow you down. So if you are wearing a wetsuit, get a swimming wetsuit or a triathlon wetsuit. There are also certain rules about wetsuits. They can't get more than 5 millimeters thick, and you wouldn't want it more than 5 millimeters thick. So keep that in mind when you are looking at wetsuits. Any other questions before we go on? Yeah. What's your name?
Angela.
Angela.
Sleeveless or full sleeve wetsuit?
Good question. So the question was, what kind? Should we go sleeveless or full sleeve? I always recommend full sleeved wetsuits. The common complaint that you hear about sleeved wetsuits is that you can't move in them. And really, if you can't move, it's either the wrong size, wrong suit, or you haven't put it on right. Most people with a couple of adjustments can make their wetsuit feel a lot better. And then, Christian, because we're filming this, you're going to do me a favor.
Yes.
Grab that.
Grab it. Oh.
You can see how far this stretches. There's not an issue with flexibility of range of motion. It's take the time to put it on correctly. Take the time to find the right wetsuit for you. Okay? We do fittings here. We're going to spend about half hour to an hour putting you in a couple different wetsuits, talking to you about your concerns, and really teaching you how to put it on so it's comfortable. So I always recommend a sleeved wetsuit for that reason. Sleeveless wetsuits, we talked about how wetsuits give you warmth, buoyancy, and speed. So a sleeveless wetsuit basically cuts off a lot of that. Because you now have a bigger hole here, you're going to have a little bit of movement, possibly some chafing. Because of that hole, you're going to let more water in and out, so less warm. And then again, you're just cutting off the part that's actually pushing and pulling through the water, that's moving the most, has more friction to it. So that's why I always recommend a sleeved wetsuit. Any other questions? Okay, so we're still talking about T1. We just grabbed our bike. We made sure our helmet is clipped before we did it. We have all our stuff. We're gonna run out with our bike to the bike out portion. There's what's called a mount line. That mount line, again, is a very strict line. You cannot get on your bike until you pass that. There will be a lot of volunteers all along transition and it'll be right outside of transition telling you, run past the line, then get on your bike. Now, if you are wearing bike shoes that have nice little cleats on them, be careful about running. The grass will feel fine, and then you'll hit either the wood onto the pavement or the pavement. A lot of people slip, so take it easy. Anytime that you think you'll make up by running, you'll be lost if you fall. So take it easy on that run out. Get onto your bike. Now, one thing that you should have done beforehand when you get to your bike and starting to sit is change to an easy gear. If you are in sprints, if you are in Olympic, the first thing that you're going to do on the bike is climb a hill.
Oh.
It's not a very big hill. It's an on-ramp. We're in Chicago. There aren't very many big hills. But you will have to climb a hill immediately. So make sure that your bike is in an easy gear and you're going to spin up that hill. When I say spin, I mean a low gear so that it's not very hard to press, and you're going to spin your legs quickly. That's also going to get the blood flowing quicker to your legs and allow you to get more comfortable biking quicker. Okay? So, you're going to bike down. You're going to do the bike course. For the sprint, you're going to go up to Hollywood, turn around, and then you're going to come down to Randolph Street again. The exit for bike in, or for the bike, is going to be a U-turn, down the hill, and then a sharp right. So there will be volunteers telling you to slow down. Please listen to them. Slow down. Now, we talked about the mount line just the same. There is a dismount line. You have to get off your bike before you get to that line. All right? They're very strict about that. They'll tell you to slow down. Get off your bike before that, and you are going to run into transition. Because we walked transition earlier, you're going to know where to go. You're going to get to your transition area. You're going to put your rack up. You're going to put your stuff either behind with your wetsuit or just drop it and then move on to your run. Any other questions about T1 before we move on to T2?
Jeff.
Dan.
Do you recommend, just for leaving your
The shoes on and stuff?
Yeah.
That's a good question. So Dan was asking, essentially what he's asking is, how should I set up my bike so that I can jump into the bike portion and out of transition quicker? So there's a couple different ways you can do it. You can put your shoes on, traditionally run, and this is mostly to those of us that are wearing bike shoes. If you're just wearing your running shoes and pedaling on flat pedals, don't worry about this portion. But if you are clipping in, you can do one of two things. You can run and jump on your bike with your shoes on, or step over your bike and clip in, or you can leave your shoe clipped in to your bike, and then when you jump on your bike, you're going to try and put your foot into the shoe.
Oh boy.
Technically, it is quicker, but I don't do it because like I said before, I fall over a lot. Your shoes will drag on the ground as you're going, so it's up to you. If you want to try that, feel free to try it, not on race day. You should practice it and know that you can do it well beforehand. Okay? So, again, you can either leave the shoes on or put your shoes on your feet, run in and jump out. Now, to that same point, while I do not leave my shoes clipped in before I get to transition, I will take my feet out as I'm biking in. And I will place my feet on top of my shoe, and that way when I jump off my bike, my shoes are already off. If you plan on doing that, race day is not the first time to do it. Practice, practice, practice. Okay? So that'll take some time. And that's, again, only if you want to do it. I don't really recommend it for everyone, especially if you are new to clips or if you're still like getting used to that feeling. Don't necessarily go that route. Does that answer your question? Yes.
Megan?
Megan!
Right now my strategy is to just wear regular gym shoes.
That's a great strategy, Megan.
Yeah.
So is the cage a good idea? Like a pedal
I like
cage?
I am, as a avid cyclist, I am not a fan of the pedal cage whatsoever.
So you don't get
It does actually give you a little bit of speed boost, but it is also a little bit more dangerous.
Yeah.
It's harder to get your feet in and out than a standard shoe clip system would be. If there's an emergency, you're pretty much just going to fall. You're not going to be able to stop. And there's much more of a likelihood of if you didn't get your foot in, that pedal cage is going to hit the ground at the bottom of the pedal strip. It pretty much always will hit the ground. So I'm not a fan of pedal cages. If that is the way you bike and that's what you've been practicing, great, that's fine. But my recommendation is not to do that. If you're interested, we do sell shoes and pedals. We work with you, we'll teach you how to use them. We'll even work on this little transition area part. But I would not necessarily recommend toe cages. Does that help?
No, all good.
Yes, Al.
Going backwards a little bit. So after you set up in the morning, should you bring like sandals or flip flops or something, or you even walk around with bare feet for an hour and a half?
Great question. Al asked, what do I wear in my feet after I set up my transition area? I bring flip flops. Flip flops are great for two reasons. One, then you're not walking on gravel, sand, all that stuff. But if you put them in your bag and hand them off to your trusty Sherpa who's watching you, then you've got comfy shoes to put on after you're done. You don't have to keep wearing your running shoes. So yes, I highly recommend bringing an extra pair of flip-flops, something comfy, something easy. Now,
But
technically, they will allow, there's a little table when you exit swim that you can leave shoes and or glasses for running into transition. I don't recommend using that little table. A lot of people go through that. It's going to be really wet. You don't want to need, like, this I can trust. This is my area. I don't want to trust my stuff in someone else's area. So I don't necessarily recommend using that.
Christiane, there is this rule that you have to do it all by yourself. So can I give stuff to my trusty Sherpa?
So Christiana was asking, there's a rule about in triathlons that it is an individual sport, that you have to do it yourself. So can I give the stuff? So the answer to that is, as long as it's before or after the race.
Okay.
So they can't hand you a water bottle, they can't hand you a chapstick, whatever, and you can't do it back, but you can absolutely hand them all your stuff, give them the biggest, heaviest bag to carry while you're actually, or before you actually go off to race, and then after they will have it for you there. So there's, to that point, if you didn't know that, triathlons are an individual sport. There's a lot of support both from us, from the Chicago Triathlon, from the volunteers on the course. You are allowed to get help from them. We expect you to get help from them. Grab that water at the aid station. But outside, like just spectators, they are not allowed to help you along. Gillian.
Just one point. If you can't convince your Sherpa to get up at 6 a.m. after the swim start, they do have a pre-race bag check. So you can also put your flip-flops in a clear bag they'll give you beforehand. You drop it right before the swim start, and you pick it up at the finish line. So that's an option as well.
So if you didn't hear it on this side, there is a bag check, a gear check at the swim start that they will give to you. They'll give you a clear bag. You can basically get close to your finish of or the start of the swim, hand them your stuff, and it'll be there waiting for you at the finish line. If you can't convince someone to wake up really early on a Sunday morning. Any other questions before we continue on through T2? Okay, so we talked about getting into T2. You're gonna get off your bike. You're gonna run in. You're gonna rack your bike right back up here. and then we're gonna go into the run. Again, probably hard for you all to see, but I have again laid this all out so it's easy for me to get through. I'm already wearing socks, but if you don't want to wear socks for either the bike or the run, you don't have to. If you want to wear socks for just one portion or either the bike or the run, that's great too. But my laces are already untied. My nutrition and race belt are in my cap, so I can quickly put those on, put on my cap, put on my shoes, and go. Okay, again, we're trying to make this as easy as possible for ourselves so that we're spending as little time just kind of hanging out. Okay? To that point, take your time, right? You're all gonna PR. So, and if you don't know what a PR is, it's a personal record. You're all gonna do the best you've ever done at the triathlon. So enjoy it. But, so we're trying to move through transition easily, and we're trying to move through the sports easily. So you'll notice I'm just gonna put that stuff with me. There's an aid station literally as soon as you exit transition for the run. So if you need water, go there. If you need nutrition, carry it with you. You can eat it while you go. Same for the bike. Put it on the bike, put it in your pockets as soon as you get into the bike. Eat and drink while you go. A common phrase that we talk about the bike portion of the triathlon is a rolling buffet. You should just be eating and drinking your way through so that you are well hydrated and nutritioned up for the run, because obviously you can't do it in the swim.
Yeah.
Okay? Yes?
Will they have places for you to stop and fill up water on the bike portion?
So the question was, are there going to be places to stop and fill up your water bottle on the bike portion? The answer is no. Bigger races will have that, and when I say bigger races, I mean distance, because Chicago is one of the biggest races. But no, so if you, what I always tell people is you should have at least 2 water bottle cages on your bike. Whether you're doing sprint or Olympic, plan on having 2 water bottle cages on your bike. You may want to do water in one, a sports drink another, whatever your nutrition plan is. Now, to that point, if you are looking at me and thinking, nutrition plan, I haven't thought of that, start thinking about it. We're getting into the hotter days of summer. We're getting into where you're starting to build up more of your training. The ideal nutrition plan isn't about replacing the calories you've burned or replacing the water you've burned. It's replacing what your body can reabsorb so you can continue for a long time. That's what endurance nutrition's about. So a general rule of thumb, everybody's going to be different, but you should be taking in about, for every workout that's about over an hour, every hour you should take in 1 to 2 bottles of water. You should be taking anywhere from 200 to 500 calories, and you need electrolytes. Electrolytes is not just salt, it's not just what's in Gatorade, it's going to be salt, potassium, magnesium, and calcium. Okay? Most nutritional products, if they are designed for endurance sports, they're designed for sports, will have a little bit of all of that. So feel free to go inside. We've got a whole wall of stuff that kind of suits all those needs. Okay? Now, we've exited on the run. We're probably feeling our legs are a little jelly, feet are really heavy. The one thing I recommend is don't try and run full speed all at once. What you're going to do is you're going to quicker cadence, so a little faster steps, but shorter steps. We're really just trying to work the blood into our muscles, feel good about how we move before we really start running, okay? For the run portion, don't be afraid to do a run walk. If you are doing a run walk, start it right off a transition, but recognize that run portion will look a little different. Make sure your legs are underneath you before you really go all out, okay? At that point, you're done with transition when you're on the run. You just got to get to the finish line. So you'll get to the finish line, it'll be awesome, they'll put a medal on you, you'll have that pizza, possibly the beer, depending on how old you are, and you're going to hang out with all the awesome people that also did that. Transition will open after you finish. It will not be open right away. They wait till everybody's off of the bike on the run. They wait till a certain time so that it's clear, and then they will check you again. So when you come into transition to pick up all your stuff, whatever bag you carried all that stuff in with that you gave to your Sherpa or gear check, make sure you bring back with you, and then you'll put all your stuff back in. They will check your number on your body to the number on the bike, so that you're not stealing anyone else's bike. So don't worry about your bike being stolen or anything like that. Christian.
What's the timing chip?
Yes.
Is that still
So
on my
the
ankle?
timing, when you get to the expo, they will give you your cap, all your numbers, the bib, and the timing chip. The timing chip you will wear on race day. You will wear it throughout the swim, the bike, the run. When you finish, they'll put a medal on you and then say stop and pull your timing chip off.
Ah.
If you somehow manage to bypass all that, send that timing chip in, because they'll charge you, I think, like $50 for it if you don't. But it'll be very hard to do that. They'll take it off of you right away.
Okay.
Any other? Yes. Back.
Are you allowed to listen to music on the run?
No.
Beth asks, can you listen to music on the run? The answer is if they're playing it. No headphones on the bike, no headphones on the swim, no headphones on the run. That's another pretty strict rule. This is, it's an individual sport. There'll be some music, but to be honest, you probably won't need it. There's going to be so much going on. There'll be a lot of cheering. There'll be a lot of people racing alongside you that'll encourage you. It'll be awesome. But no music. Al.
Are you allowed to have your things in a bag if you want at the transition points?
Yeah, you can keep your stuff. The question was, can you put your stuff in a bag at transition? You can. I just don't recommend it.
Okay.
Because if you do that, and I've done it for days that are really rainy.
Yeah.
If it does get really rainy, I would recommend just putting a plastic bag or like a little piece of or a towel or something over the top of all your stuff. Just lay it on top rather than putting it in a bag. Mainly because if you put everything in a bag, you're gonna have to then, when you get into transition, root around for all that stuff in your bag. It's a lot more likely that you will forget something if you can't visually see everything and have your pattern of what you're gonna go through. So absolutely, I just don't recommend it.
There's not a spectator fee, is there?
Nope. So the question was, is there a spectator fee or how do the spectators work? There's no spectator fee. There's going to be a lot of people coming out to see you. They're not allowed in transition. They're not allowed on the course. So, but they can walk. You can hang out with them pretty much until you get into the swim. They can walk along that wall and watch you swim and yell at you the whole time. The first time that I did my triathlon, my parents literally heckled me the whole time. It was awesome. And yeah, the bike portion is a little harder for them to spectate you, but they usually can see you twice if you're doing the Olympic or once if you're doing the sprint. And then on the run course, again, it's really easy for them to spectate you. They can see you usually going out and then coming back in or at the finish line. Yeah, so encourage anyone and everyone to come see you. It's going to be an awesome day. Yeah.
Priya, is there, you guys wear the last wave? Is it less chaotic when we do the bike transition?
So Priya asked, because we're one of the first timers are one of the last waves, is it going to be a little less chaotic? Yes! That is the whole point of the first timers wave. We're trying to make this as easy as possible for you with as little distractions, so that when you're set up at one of the last waves, most of the people are going to be gone out of your way. When you get out on the course, most of those people are gone out of your way, so you get as clear of a course as possible. There's also a little, it's not much, but there's an extra minute that we build in before and after your wave to create more clear space for you. There's a question with that? Yes.
For the bike and the run, I don't know if it's SPD or volunteers, the paths or streets, are they shut down for the whole time, or are you waiting like I've done marathons where you're stopped red light waiting for?
So the question is the course closed to traffic and all of that? Now, obviously, the swim is obviously closed. They actually pull Monroe Harbor. If you go there now, there's a lot of boats in there. 2 days before they pull out all the boats, it is going to be completely clear. There's nothing there. For the bike portion, it's going to be closed off, but it's going to be the inner 2 lanes of Lakeshore Drive are going to be closed off for the sprint. And when you get to the second half of the Olympic portion, all of that is closed off. There's absolutely no traffic. Yeah, so at no point will you really come into interaction with traffic. You'll bike alongside it with, you know, them on 2 lanes over, but you're not going to really come into contact. The run course is all on the lakefront path. They put up signs well beforehand. There are lots of volunteers, and they actually have volunteers to help divert the people that somehow missed the memo. Hey, don't go this way, go that way. Go this other route that we have planned for you. So that run course will also be nice and clear. You're not going to be on any streets. Yes. What was your name?
Mikhail.
Mikhail.
For the sprint triathlon and the Olympic, how do you like make sure you're not getting on like the wrong route? I guess like for the
Great
bike, all
question.
of a sudden you realize you're going the Olympic.
So the question was, how do I know that I'm going the sprint route versus the Olympic route? Now, the sprint route, you will be in your wave with only sprint people and only Olympic people, depending on what race you're doing. For the swim, if you're doing sprint, they just tell you to swim north. If you're doing the Olympic, you go south, take a U-turn, then go north. When you get out of the water, you'll get to your transition area. Again, you're going to be racked with only sprint people, and the people that would have gone off at that time are only going to be sprint people or Olympic, depending on what you're doing. For the sprint course, I'm going to tell you now, just so you remember, but it's very hard to get off course. You'll turn around at Hollywood, and there'll be volunteers and signs yelling, sprint, finish here, Olympic, here. Okay, so there'll be signs. Pay attention to the volunteers, pay attention to your surroundings. For the run course, the sprint turnaround is at 31st Street. Right? Yep, 31st Street. It will be well marked. There will be signs, there will be volunteers, there will be people turning around. And again, you will mostly be racing with people that are doing your distance. So so you won't really see, if you're doing the sprint, you won't really see many Olympics. And if you're doing the Olympics, you won't really see many people doing the sprint. But it is very well marked. They'll tell you to turn around. So just pay attention to your surroundings. Janine.
Yeah, what if you get like really far behind everybody you started with?
That's totally fine. There'll still be the same signs. There'll still be the same volunteers. And you'll most likely still be with either the sprint people or the Olympic people, just different ways.
And I'll be there with you.
Nope. There are technically cutoff times. They are very generous. And I will say Chicago Triathlon's really nice in the sense of even their cutoff times get a little fudged come race day. So I would say you're here, so clearly you care about what you're going to do. Clearly you've been training. Continue that trend. Keep training. Keep getting ready for the race, and you'll be just fine.
What if I get a flat?
If you get a flat, there is going to be on-course SAG, support and guidance. But you should have a flat kit. That wagon is there for the people going around to fix flats are there for everybody. It's a 24-mile course. It may take them a little while to get to you. I would hope you have learned at some point to change a flat before then. We've got a flat change clinic coming up, I believe at the end of July, or middle of July. Stay tuned, I don't remember the exact date, but there are also YouTube videos. Practice. Get a flat kit and practice, practice, practice. That is gonna absolutely assuage some fears, make it a little easier for you to get going. So there are people to help, but learn to do it on your own.
Oh, okay.
Brian.
How do you recommend getting the bike and everything?
So Brian asked, how do you get to transition? So, a couple different ways. You can, if you did convince someone to wake up early, have them drive and drop you off close to Randolph. That's going to be one of the easiest ways. You can take your bike and backpack and stuff on the train if you would like. I would not necessarily recommend Uber because that morning we'll have some serious surge pricing and you're going to have to figure out how you get your bike there. Or you are carrying a bike, you could just ride down. But so there's no like definitive way. If you are driving yourself, there is parking. It is going to be in the loop. The Millennium parking garage is what I usually recommend. I believe it's $20 that day. You will usually find a lot of parking around the loop doing special event day parking where you can park and leave your car for the day till you need to get back to it. Yes?
Can't you bring your bike down the day before?
Yeah, we're going to get into that in a second. Yeah. Any other questions about transition specifically? All right, so I'm going to talk really quick about the expo. So the day on Friday and Saturday, you have to go pick up all your stuff. On Saturday, we usually do it at, I believe, at 1 o'clock. We will walk all the first timers, whoever wants to join us, down to transition. There's two reasons for this. They usually don't allow you to do this, but you are allowed to rack your bike, and more importantly, we're gonna walk you through transition so you know where everything is. So you can figure out bike in, bike out, where am I gonna rack, where do I need to be confident in that beforehand. Now, you can rack before, sorry, you asked the question. You can rack the day before. It's up to you whether that's worth it or not, okay? For me, I'm a nervous Nelly, got a nice bike, I don't want anyone touching it, so I'm gonna rack in the morning of, because I have to be there with all my stuff anyway. You will have to be in transition that morning of anyway, because you can only rack your bike the day before. You cannot set up your transition area.
Ah.
But for people that may be driving in public transport, got to figure out a way to get there, racking your bike the day before might make your life a lot easier. So take that as a consideration, figure out how you're going to get there, figure out what you want to do. Along those lines, we will bring a bunch of pumps, pump your tires up that morning, okay? We want to make sure that you don't have flats, we want to make sure that you have the right air pressure. Tires can lose up to 10% overnight, or 10% of their air overnight, so we want to make sure that you have air pressure and that you are set up well to ride, okay? Any other questions? Yeah, Kayla.
When's the transition walkthrough?
That'll be we will do a transition walkthrough on Saturday. The race is on Sunday. Expo is Friday and Saturday to pick up all your stuff. So we will do it in the midday on Saturday. You will, because you're all part of the first timers, you will get an email letting you know about this, letting you know where to meet us. We will be at the expo. We will have all our coaches there. There is even an Ask a Coach little kiosk if you have any last minute questions, if you're trying to figure things out. Cool. I'm gonna reset up the little transition area here so that you can take a look at it. Please come take a look at it. Get an idea of what stuff that you want to carry and have for the for triathlon. The one last tip I have on that is that you should have nothing new. You found something cool, you found an idea, you need to practice it now. Don't try anything new on race day. That is a way to either forget something or something bad to go wrong. Cool. Well, thank you so much for all coming.